This one I'm calling tools to stay in your body. So holiday period, being around people potentially who cause you some trauma and environments that cause you some trauma. I thought it would be useful to have some quick kind of guidance tools for things that help you stay grounded in your body. Because when we are around situations and people that make us feel stressed, sometimes we tend to float on up out of our body. So we dissociate, we depersonalize, things like that. And being able to stay in your body and stay in the moment, even if the moment is not pleasant, will be helpful. So if you're listening to this one on the Mum As You Are podcast, it's going to be easier to have some video instructions to follow along for this one. But I'll talk you through it as best I can if you're not watching the video and you're just using audio. So this is like nothing fancy. It's a post-it list note that I came up with. None of these are tools that I've invented. They're all from other people. No point in reinventing the wheel. I just thought I'll put my spin on it and put it in one place. So the first one, which comes from Peter Levine, if you've read any of his books, his book, it's over there. I have to go all the way over there and pick it up. Waking the Target is one of my favourites for talking about trauma and how things stay in the body. So he just talks about just the idea of patting yourself down, pretty much. Now, if you think about it, I think some of the tools that are most useful for staying in your body are ones that we naturally do, either when we are children or things that we naturally do if we've had a good attachment style and healthy parenting ourselves, we naturally do to help children regulate themselves. And touch is a huge part of that, a reassuring hand on the shoulder kind of thing, giving your child a cuddle. Sometimes when kids are really anxious and really scared, you might find yourself just naturally giving their arm a bit of a rub or something. So being able to do that for yourself is a resourcing technique. So Peter just talks about really just putting your arms on yourself and giving yourself a little squeeze. It just helps you come back into your body. Or giving yourself an actual hug. It doesn't have to be out in front of people if you feel uncomfortable. Bathrooms are for all sorts of therapy techniques. Just go to the bathroom, which might sound a bit funny, but it's true. Taking yourself off somewhere quiet and private for a minute and just giving yourself a squeeze, giving yourself that reassuring hug that you would give to little you if you had that opportunity, or, giving yourself the things that you need at any age. It's not just children who need this sensory input, it's adults as well. So you can take that a step further. There's a technique called the butterfly hug. It comes from EMDR. It's not, again, I didn't invent it. It's been around for a while. But you put your hands on your chest in a butterfly formation. You might want to put your thumbs together. You might want them further apart. Doesn't really matter. And you're using bilateral stimulation. Flop, flop, flap's probably better for a butterfly term, isn't it? But you're just going to simultaneously, at your own pace, just sit there and flap the wings of the butterfly on your chest. We use this in therapy a lot. It's a tool that you can use yourself. You can do it in conjunction with a therapist, and it just helps settle the body. Again, I could go into all the stuff about bilateral stimulation and why it works. You can Google that for yourself if you want to, but that is a quick technique. And if you have children in your life, or even if you don't, if you've got other adults, the butterfly technique is one of the easiest, most useful techniques to use, particularly for times when the brain is too overwhelmed and talking isn't enough. You need some sort of physical input to tell your nervous system, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm okay, and I'm safe. So in conjunction with that, I'm also a fan of tapping, or the emotional freedom technique. It's been around for a long time. It was something, certainly when I trained, that was considered probably a bit too woo-woo. For some people, it is still a bit too woo-woo. I don't really care. I think about it from a Chinese medicine point of view. Chinese medicine has been around for a lot longer than white Western medicine. And we know that their acupressure points actually light up endorphins in your brain and they do something. So that's good enough for me. I've talked about in other videos, in other podcasts before, how even simple techniques like using this pressure point in your hand can release beta endorphins. If you're anxious, nauseous, stressed, whatever it might be. So I won't go too much into all the tapping kind of techniques. There are probably at least maybe 1 million now on YouTube videos. So look for tapping or EFT, find some techniques that you like. A good one to learn, but just when you're around a stressful situation and you don't want to like start doing all the tapping on your face, is just to learn the karate chop point. Like, that's subtle enough. Find the fleshy bit on the bottom of your hand and just tap away at it. There's that one, or there's this one in here that I've taught people before. It's called the Hegu, Hegu point, and you just press into it. Simples. So there's that. Also think about things that kids naturally do when they've got excess energy and stress. They fidget. Like, you know, if you grew up in a time where you were told constantly not to fidget, we're now showing that you can have permission to fidget. Fidgeting is actually really good for the nervous system. And part of that is, again, it keeps you in your body. You know, even just in a therapy session, if I was someone who was clearly, to me, dissociating and no longer with me in the moment, but going back into a memory, I might have them, I don't have a ball on my desk, like, let's lip balm, you maybe don't want to do that, but like, just catch and throw a ball back and forth. That'll keep you in your body. Taking your feet and giving concentration to how do your feet feel in your shoes, wriggling your toes, getting your feet on the bare ground if you're feeling really like you're floating up out of your body is a good one. Sitting and describing how it feels sitting in the chair. What does the fabric feel like? What's the fabric on your clothing like? Those kinds of things. Anything that can get you, again, back into your body. Fidget toys. They're not just for kids. Like, the relief and comfort that I have seen brought to people in a therapy room who are adults who can't help go and touch the fidget toys or sit and have a, you know, stuffed animal or something. We naturally do these things because they work, because they're helpful. So if you're in a situation where you need to be relieving some tension and relieving some stress, but you're with people and, you know, you don't want to do some of those things out and about, although it's good teaching, you can go into a bathroom and do some breathing, do some tapping, come back into your body, always be coming back into your body. And the more that you can teach that to other people, it's the, you know, teach a person to fish thing. Teach someone a tool, then they'll teach that to somebody else. These are not things, like I said, I didn't invent any of these things. Like, this is just a list I came up with. These are things I've used for years and years and years. They deserve a place more than just you going to a therapist and paying money for a therapist and then I teach one person. Or maybe in a lifetime I could teach. I think about this often, actually, as a therapist, teaching someone one tool. How many people could I possibly teach in a one-on-one therapy setting? It's nowhere near as many as being able to do this, as being able to make a video, go on a podcast, something like that, and teach tools. And they are simple. They can seem too simple, but simple is good. Simple is what we need. Simple regulation. When a child is really stressed and anxious, we hopefully don't go into big, long, convoluted, like talking discussions about things. We use simple tools to help the nervous system settle and feel more confident. And so that is my gift for you in the holiday season. I'll talk to you next time.